All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today we're looking at Elon Musk and SpaceX.
Definitely a hot topic.
It really is, yeah. And for this deep dive, the question we're trying to answer is he a visionary
Right.
or a con artist,
Right.
a grifter,
Is he changing the world?
or just lining his pockets? We've got a ton of material to get through, articles, reports, court documents even.
There's so much out there. And what's interesting is a lot of the answers might be found right there on the ground at Starbase.
At Boca Chica, Texas.
Yeah. I mean, it's the physical manifestation of Musk's big dreams, but it's also caused a lot of controversy.
Yeah, and it's a real story of contrasts. On one hand, SpaceX is making these amazing leaps forward in space travel.
Reusable rockets.
Right. And like this whole idea of making humanity multiplanetary, which is, wow.
Ambitious, to say the least.
Yeah. But then on the other hand, you've got, these growing concerns about the environmental damage.
The clashes with the local community, too.
Exactly. And whether they're even playing by the rules, it's kind of murky.
Absolutely. And to really get a handle on all this, we need to rewind a bit. Go back to when SpaceX first set up shop in Boca Chica.
2013, right?
Yep. They filed an environmental impact statement back then, which all seemed pretty standard.
They were planning to launch, what, like a limited number of Falcon 9s and Falcon Heavies each year?
Exactly. But then Starship comes along.
And throws a wrench in the works.
It changes everything. Starship is way bigger, way more powerful than the Falcons, so Starbase had to grow to fit it.
And rather than going through that whole environmental review process again, which would have taken ages,
And cost a fortune.
they went for, what was it called? A programmatic environmental assessment. So like for regular people, what does that even mean?
Well, basically it's less strict, it's faster, gives them more wiggle room, and it's generally used for projects with broad goals that might change over time.
Okay.
But in this case, people are saying it lets SpaceX skip a more thorough look at how launching Starship could affect the environment, especially somewhere as delicate as Boca Chica.
And those concerns, they weren't just, hot air, right? We've got reports of debris like chunks of concrete.
Raining down after that first Starship test flight.
Yeah, April 2023.
Spread all over the launch site.
And beyond.
Musk called it non-toxic.
But even if that's true,
It doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't address the impact of all this on the ecosystem over time.
yeah. And the FAA, who are supposed to be overseeing all this, well, they've been criticized too.
For being too easy on SpaceX, relying too much on what SpaceX is telling them instead of doing their own checks.
Like they're giving them the benefit of the doubt, even when it's not so clear they deserve it.
That's the feeling among some people, yeah. And this leniency, it's worrying when you look at the bigger picture of how SpaceX is operating, environmentally speaking. There's reports of them going over the limit for dumping toxic wastewater, which is, straight up breaking the rules.
And then there's the air pollution. Each Starship launch pumps out a ton of greenhouse gases. And as they launch more and more, that damage adds up. It makes you wonder, how much environmental damage is okay just to explore space?
It's a huge question, especially considering what SpaceX wants to do long term. They aren't talking about a few launches here and there. It's regular trips to Mars.
To the moon.
Yeah. So if they're struggling now with just a few launches, what's going to happen when that number goes way up?
That's kind of scary to think about. And the environment isn't the only thing raising red flags, right?
Yeah.
Their relationship with the locals in Boca Chica, that's been, well, difficult, to say the least.
For sure. And to get to the bottom of that, we need to look at how SpaceX has changed Boca Chica.
Physically and socially.
So starting with the land.
Nice.
Back in 2013, they bought around 41 acres, but that was just for starters.
Fine.
They ended up with over 100, including homes. They even built a subdivision, Mars Crossing. I mean, come on.
Pretty clear sign of their intentions, yeah.
But those intentions came at a cost.
Some people were forced out as SpaceX got bigger. Others couldn't even get to the beach anymore. Or faced road closures all the time because of the launches. There's a guy, Christopher Basaldu, I was reading about, member of the Carrizo Comacrudo tribe. He considers Boca Chica sacred land.
Wow.
And he's suing the state of Texas because of some deal that gave SpaceX even more land.
It's a big deal.
It makes you think about who's really benefiting from all of this and whose voices are being ignored.
It's not just about noise complaints and inconvenience. It's about people's homes, their way of life, even cultural heritage getting erased.
It's a reminder that progress can have victims, especially when it moves this fast. Makes you think about what the cost of getting to space really is.
Absolutely. And as SpaceX gets bigger in Boca Chica, the tension just keeps rising. There's all these SpaceX superfans now who gather near the launch site, and the locals, well, they're not thrilled about it. It's disrupting their lives.
So you've got this clash of cultures happening.
Clash of values, really.
One side wants to go to Mars, the other just wants to live their lives in peace.
And protect their home. It begs the question, what's the true cost of all this progress? And who's really paying it?
So much to think about. We've talked about the environmental concerns, the impact on the community, the possibility that the rules aren't being followed.
That we're just getting started.
We still need to look at the politics of it all.
The politics surrounding SpaceX, surrounding Elon Musk.
To figure out if he's a true visionary or just someone manipulating the system.
Right.
So stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going to unpack that whole mess.
Okay, so let's wade into the political side of things now.
All right, sounds good.
Elon Musk, I mean, he's not shy about sharing his political opinions.
No, he's not.
Especially when it comes to regulations.
It's especially California, right?
Oh, yeah. He's been very critical of California's regulations, saying they stifle innovation and make it really hard for companies like SpaceX to function.
Yeah, I mean, that frustration, it definitely played a part in him moving Tesla's headquarters to Texas in 2021, right?
Oh, absolutely. Texas is much more, how do you say, business friendly. The regulations are way less strict.
Yeah.
It was a better fit for his companies.
Definitely. Yeah. And then there's that whole thing with him endorsing Donald Trump.
Right.
He even went to one of Trump's rallies, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And with Trump being so interested in space himself and his track record with deregulation and remember those times he pressured the FAA.
Yeah.
That relationship raises some serious questions.
It does. I mean, would a Trump administration just give SpaceX a free pass on environmental stuff? Just look the other way if they break the rules?
Well, based on Trump's past actions, it's not impossible.
Yeah. And his whole campaign was about, America dominating space.
Right.
It's not hard to imagine SpaceX becoming a key player in that.
Oh, absolutely. And if SpaceX gets caught up in all that political maneuvering, it raises questions about who's really benefiting.
Right.
Is it about, space exploration for all mankind? Or is it about furthering political ambitions, consolidating power?
It's a bit unnerving, to be honest, to think that the future of space travel could be decided by politics. But let's switch gears for a minute.
Okay.
Back to that lawsuit from Christopher Basoldu.
The member of the Carrizo-Comacruda tribe.
Yeah. That whole fight against the land swap deal, it just adds another layer to all of this.
It really does. It brings up a much bigger issue, the way indigenous communities have been treated historically and their fight to protect their land. It's still happening.
Exactly.
And SpaceX in Boca Chica is just one example of how development projects can push into indigenous lands, onto sacred sites, often without any regard for what those places mean to people.
It's a harsh reminder that progress isn't always pretty, especially when it's happening this fast. Someone always pays the price. Makes you wonder if getting to space is worth it,
It's a valid question. And while everyone's focused on the amazing technology and these big, bold plans for space, we can't forget about the people who are being affected.
And the environment.
Right. We can't let the excitement of space travel blind us to what's happening right here on Earth.
The damage to the environment, people being forced from their homes, the possibility that rules are being broken just to get ahead. We have to look at all of it.
Absolutely. And it's not about pointing fingers or placing blame. It's about acknowledging that this is complicated.
Yeah.
There are ethical dilemmas. There are unintended consequences. Space exploration is a powerful thing, but we have to be careful with it. We have to be responsible.
And that responsibility, it's not just on SpaceX and Elon Musk.
No.
It's on the people who are supposed to be regulating them,
Right.
on the politicians who make the rules about space, even on us, regular people. We all have a stake in this.
Absolutely. We need SpaceX to be more open about what they're doing, about how they're trying to protect the environment. We need the FAA to do their job, protect the environment, and hold SpaceX accountable when they mess up. And we need our elected officials to make sure that when they make decisions about space, they're considering the environment. They're being ethical.
It sounds like you're talking about a more holistic way of looking at space exploration, thinking about not just the technology, but the impact on people, on the environment, the ethical side of it.
Exactly. The future of space exploration can't just be about ambition and making money. It has to be about respecting our planet, respecting the communities that are affected, and making sure that what we do is good for humanity in the long run.
Okay, so where does that leave us with this whole grifter or gifted question? We've looked at the environmental concerns, the impact on the community, the possibility of political influence, the ethical questions.
Yeah.
Have we figured out who Elon Musk and SpaceX really are?
I think we're getting closer, but it's not a simple answer. What
No.
we've seen raises some serious concerns.
Yeah.
The question now is, will SpaceX and Elon Musk step up?
Right.
Will they address these concerns? Will they show that they're truly committed to doing space exploration the right way? Or will they just keep chasing their goals, even if it means damaging the planet and hurting people in the process?
Those are some tough questions.
They are.
And we're going to keep exploring them as we delve into some of the arguments and perspectives surrounding all of this. Okay, so we've been pretty hard on Elon Musk and SpaceX this episode. We've looked at the good and the bad, but let's get down to it, the big question. Is he a visionary leading the way, or just a reckless businessman leaving a mess behind?
Yeah, it's tricky, right? I think the truth is probably somewhere in between. I mean, there's no doubt the guy's got vision, he's got drive, he sets these crazy goals, goals that get people excited all over the world.
And he achieves them. Like,
Yes.
you have to give him that.
Absolutely. SpaceX has done incredible things. Reusable rockets, these ambitious missions, a real push to make space travel a reality. It's impressive.
It is. But we can't forget about all the issues we talked about.
Right.
Environmental stuff, the problems with the community, the possibility of, loopholes, the ethical stuff, all of it.
It's like the ends don't justify the means. Even if Musk's heart is in the right place, even if he wants to do good, the way he's going about it, the damage he might be causing, it's a problem.
So if you were in charge, how would you do space exploration differently? Like, what would a responsible approach look like?
Well, first off, you have to acknowledge the risks.
Right.
And then you take real steps to reduce those risks.
Makes sense.
You actually work with the communities, listen to their concerns, try to minimize the disruption.
Be transparent about how you operate.
Yes, exactly. Let people see what you're doing. Welcome oversight. Be accountable when you make mistakes. It's about showing that you care about doing things the right way, sustainably, ethically. It's not just about hitting your goals no matter what.
You're right. It's about finding that balance between innovation and responsibility. Pushing the boundaries, yeah, but also protecting our planet and the people on it.
Absolutely.
And honestly, with SpaceX, that balance seems a little off.
A little, yeah.
They seem willing to cut corners, bend the rules, downplay the bad stuff, all to get what they want.
And that raises the question, can we really keep doing space exploration this way?
Right. Can we just ignore these problems? Is it worth it?
These are questions we all have to ask ourselves. It's not just about Musk or SpaceX. It's about how we, as a society, as humans, decide to go about exploring space. What are our values? What are our limits?
So I guess we didn't really answer the grifter or gifted question.
No, not definitively. But I think we've gotten a better understanding of the bigger picture.
Yeah, the challenges, the ethical dilemmas, what's at stake. It's a lot more complicated than it seems.
It is. And maybe the most important takeaway is this. Progress without responsibility can be dangerous. It can actually take us further away from the stars we're trying to reach.
So everyone listening, keep that in mind. Keep asking questions. Keep pushing for a future where our journey to the stars doesn't come at the cost of our own planet. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.